Welcome, folks, to episode 144 of the Morgue, an official CorpseFeed podcast. And I am Arturo Padilla, the guy behind the face, and with me always is Mr. Nick Valdez. Tex, how are you? What's up, man?
Oh, man. Howdy, everybody. Howdy, Arturo. We have like the packed week, like out of nowhere. We've been like struggling, right? We've been trying to find the quote unquote content, right? But here we are. We have a big one for you this week.
Absolutely, folks. We're getting into the thick of it now, especially in the month of March. Everyone knows there's a bunch of big hits coming out, a bunch of news coming out, everything leading to good stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. So we'll start off quick with the 95th Academy Awards. You know, we usually don't shout out the Oscars, you know, because we had our Goldies and everybody's already the important awards. The important awards already went out, right? Like,
yes, exactly.
but there
is a time when Goldies and Oscars do align. Right.
Yes,
and this is one of those times. And we definitely have to give a big shout out to Everything Everywhere All at Once.
Yes.
Freaking just decimating at the Oscars.
Yeah,
Best Picture.
A24 heads are going to be so annoying now.
Dude, best actress.
Yeah,
best supporting actor, best supporting actress, best editing.
Yeah. Screenplay they won too.
Yes, best screenplay. So, I think it has 7 awards or something like that.
So they basically swept everything but like the costumes and shit like that, like the technical stuff. So kudos to Everything Everywhere All at Once. Michelle Yeoh, Goldie winner this year for Best Actress. Also took Best Actress Oscar. I guess the honors are the same. Ours is more important, but
you know what though, Tex?
Right?
Also, let's not forget to mention this one. Big shout out to Miss Jamie Lee Curtis for coming out with a freaking Oscar, for her performance in that movie, which is absolutely wild, and Jamie Lee being my favorite final girl in Laurie Strode, the original one. Like, that's awesome. That's awesome news for her and everyone and just the community, man. The culture in general.
Yeah. So my thing with that was that, she wasn't okay. I do have to say a little negative thing about that though. I think Stephanie Sue was who was also nominated in the same category. She
the daughter,
played,
right?
Yeah, she played Djibouti or whatever the nickname was, right?
Yeah,
she kind of, but Jamie Lee Curtis, it's the legacy one, you know what I mean? So I'm like, okay,
dude,
I'm
honestly, I was super shocked she was nominated.
That was also my thing because Angela Bassett was in the same category for Black Panther, so it's like, well, but still, kudos all around.
Yes, absolutely. Hey, that's it.
And Ke Huy Quan won for Best Supporting Actor, which is dope because he literally it was part of he just came back, right? This was his big comeback movie, and Brendan Fraser, who wasn't in Everything Everywhere, but he should have been. Now that we all kind of look at
it,
Encino
Man won an Oscar, bro.
Yeah, he won it for The Whale. The Whale, of course. I'll never I'm good on that, but
I haven't seen it. Not interested like that.
We'll pretend he won for Blast from the Past, or Monkey Bone, Bedazzled, Biodome, Encino Man. Pick any movie.
Oh no, he wasn't even in Biodome. I confused him with freaking the Baldwin dude, for a second, because Pauly Shore and then Encino Man.
Yeah. So The Mummy, you pick any. Same thing.
The Scout, Steve Nebraska, him wanting to do laundry all the time, bro. Was cool, bro.
Yeah.
Yes, I love it.
Yeah, same thing as Jamie Lee Curtis. We'll just pretend it's it's the legacy win.
That's for Halloween, right?
Yeah.
That's for all the work she put in and everything that came after. Thank you, Jamie Lee. Here's your Oscar.
That's what it is. It's rewarding her hard work. As the same thing for Brendan Fraser. You did it. Can't wait. Good luck for the, congratulations to Everything Everywhere All at Once. Big winner of the night. And congratulations. We're moving on in coming attractions. Congratulations to John Bernthal, who is coming back as the Punisher in the MCU.
Punish. Yeah, he is.
He's coming back in Daredevil Born Again, I believe is what they said.
Yes, correct.
The reason I wanted to bring this up is that, it's a big character confirmation, stuff like that. But what it does is it also makes the Netflix stuff a little more murkier because apparently the people who played Foggy and Karen in the Netflix series
Not
aren't supposed to come back. So it's like,
there ain't no coming.
So you got so many like arguments about whether or not is the Netflix stuff canon to the MCU, Daredevil. I don't know if any of that matters, but
because last time we saw Daredevil, he was in the West Coast with She-Hulk, right? And he had and he got a new look. He got a cool new costume. I'm a little upset that Karen and Foggy aren't coming back because that's a big part of Daredevil and the story, because that's like they're the ones holding down the grounded story of Matt Murdock the entire time while Daredevil is doing his thing at night, So I'm curious where this Born Again show is actually going. And Punisher being back. And remember, we said what, it's like 13 episodes or something like that, right?
No, it's 18. So that's the thing. They have plenty of time to bring in a Foggy and Karen. So it's like they could either recast them or I don't know what they want to do, but Bernthal being back is like another big for all the people who complained about the Netflix stuff canon and it doesn't matter anymore, blah blah blah. That's another big win. It's like, they Disney was like, why fix what isn't broken, right? So,
but you know what, too, like it also just seems like they understand, hey, they played those characters really well. Why recast them at all?
That's the other thing, too.
And let's just bring them into our universe. We don't have to explain shit. We'll just drop them in, and it is what it is, right? Because
all they got to say is multiverse, right?
Yeah, because exactly, they can just say that, or they even just don't, right? Because Daredevil's just Daredevil, right?
Yeah, they could keep playing with that forever, right?
Yeah, they don't really like when we saw Daredevil in No Way Home, also in She-Hulk, there was really, we know of Daredevil, of course, of the character, but there was really no mention of his of Elektra and his his journeys and adventures on the Netflix series.
That's very true.
It's just them going like, hey, we don't want to go through a whole recasting process when we actually have characters, actors that actually appreciate the characters and fans who appreciate those actors playing those characters, right? So why even bother, trying to go out there and recast what we don't have to? If it ain't broke, don't fix it, right?
That's very true, and that's what we'll be curious about seeing Punisher in like the MCU, because it's like, is he going to be able to use guns? Is he gonna because in the comics there are Punishers who Punisher uses swords and
it depends what mood he's in, right?
yeah. Like, is he gonna use like laser guns, or is he gonna be like a weird Punisher, like a Frankenstein Punisher that they have, or
because you're absolutely right, Tex. We have to see what we're going to get with the show, because we know that the Daredevil that we're getting here is the one that was introduced in She-Hulk in that universe. And we know it's a little bit more whimsical than the one that came from Netflix, right? Yeah. But that being said, there's tons of gunplay in the Marvel universe as it is. Yeah, just look at Captain America and Winter Soldier and all that stuff. Like, I think they'll be fine. I think they'll be fine scaling back the violence, because as we know, you don't really have to go all out with the blood and gore. You don't
gotta be bloody. Yeah.
What matters is you have an actor, like I said, who knows the character well, right? And who even who wasn't a fan of John Bernthal, because I was not a fan of his character in Walking Dead. I have tons of issues with that, and I'll die by that. But like, I grew to love this actor playing this character. I'm like, wow, this guy got me, dude. Right. So I'm glad he's coming back. I am hoping we get a little bit more news on that Daredevil front, though, right?
Yeah, and so that's actually a really great segue, Arturo, of actors who know their roles and why recast them, and and universes and all that stuff, because
and heroes and stuff.
Yeah, so we got a TV spot for Shazam: Fury of the Gods, right? And at this point, they've shown the movie. And they've shown basically everything there is to offer, quite literally, as the TV spot that's been showing lately has Wonder Woman in it. Like, it's literally like Gal Gadot's Wonder Woman.
Yes,
which is likely, if you look at the scene, I've seen the TV spot twice by this point, right? If you look at it, that's definitely the final scene of the movie. Like, that's definitely like the last few minutes. Wonder Woman's probably going to come in and say, "Oh, what happened here?" Because
and honestly, too,
as she's walking away, she's like, "Yeah, you're a hero," and all that stuff. So
yeah, because Shazam's asking for her phone number, right?
Yes,
and she's like,
yes.
well, why don't you stick to saving the planet, right? So it does seem it's like at the very, very tail end of Act 3, right? Of the whole entire conflict, and also
that's after the battle too. I bet. Like that's literally like the last few minutes of the movie. How much you want to bet? 100%.
It just seems like it because I was also questioning where she was because the baddies in this movie seem to be of that like kind of world, right? Yeah. So, it's funny because I sent you a text. I'm like, hey, did you see the news? Shazam spot? Wonder Woman's gonna be in it. And you're like, what? So it's wild how they're like, hey, guys, we're waving the white flag here. This is all we got.
Yeah, they're like, please come see our movie. Yeah,
they already peddled that that TV spot with like, oh, Shazam is like a perfect movie or something, whatever they fluffed it up with. But
it
is coming out later on this week, and we'll be talking about it with you guys next week. If everything goes to plan. So
we are going to talk about.
So we'll stress. We'll talk about this more next week. Anyways.
Yeah.
Moving on.
Moving on. Speaking of trailers, we got a trailer, the first real trailer for The Little Mermaid during the Oscars, actually. And I'm a little bummed, because like Little Mermaid's my big one. You know me. Buddies at home know me. I've said this a bunch of times. It's Little Mermaid and Aladdin. Those are my big ones, right? And this movie, it's the same. It's what you and I were talking about off air, where it's like, yo, these movies are so dark. Like they're so washed out, and they're so devoid of color, Like
I got issues, man. I got a lot of issues with this thing. I'm not a fan. I know the buddies at home knew you were a big Aladdin mark. I don't think we knew about the Little Mermaid part.
Yeah, I'm a big Little Mermaid mark.
Yeah, so I'm very, very curious to see what you think about it after I just quickly say I don't like the look of it. The CG doesn't look that good. The only thing that I really enjoyed out of this little, peek at the movie was Ursula. I believe that's McCarthy, right?
Yeah,
playing
McCarthy.
Ursula. So that looked decent, but even then, we didn't get quite the look I wanted. I wanted to see a little bit more, but dude, it doesn't look good. It's very dark. I don't know what's going on, man. You're the Little Mermaid guy, right? Like, tell me, Tex, like, what is your honest opinion of this thing, man?
No, I agree. Like, it looks washed out. Like, you know what I mean? Like, her Ariel's hair isn't like super red. It's like, it's realistic. You know what I mean? I'm like, no, I don't want to come to Disney for realism. You know what I mean? Like, even if it's like a live action, you get what I mean? Like, I want I want like Ariel's stupid red ass hair. Like, I want the colors, and there are like, it's super devoid of color. It's super dark. I'm so tired of these movies, Arturo, being like so poorly lit.
Yeah.
That like, you see them in the theater and I'm sure it looks fine, but they also have to remember that eventually we're going to see these at home. And it's like it's the Game of Thrones problem. It's the I forgot what other show did that recently too, but it's like, I'm tired of these dark movies. Like I know I feel like an old man when I say these things, but it's like, like, put some lighting in there.
But honestly, dude, it's totally an understandable take because from what I gather, just the under the sea spot alone is like one of the brightest things you'll see in Disney lore, right? And as you mentioned, when things get a little bit too real, it doesn't go so well. For example, in Lion King, I hated the Lion King Favreau flick. I was not a fan of it. Like the emotionless like lions, because lions don't emote the way Disney lions do. If you put a freaking real lion to try and cry, you're not gonna get the Simba crying scene.
Dude,
it's not gonna happen.
and the fact that it was like a straight remake too, and that's
Yeah,
what this Little
straight up
Mermaid looks
remake.
like.
And
This Little Mermaid also looks like it's going to be a straight
and
remake.
then we see Sebastian looking like a freaking crab, dude.
Like a regular crab. Ew, like
It wasn't he like he was a crab, right? Or a lobster.
he was a crab, but
and he had a
definitely
weird
not,
lobster shape head,
yeah,
but like
like cartoony, you know?
yes,
Like
he looks too much like a crab. Like it's I got problems. I got problems, and we're gonna get into it the more we see.
It's the Jerry Stiller thing. I got problems with you people.
I got a lot of problems with you people.
Yeah,
we're gonna hear about it.
We're gonna need that drop.
Dude.
But yeah, the complete opposite though. We got the final trailer for the Super Mario Brothers movie, and dude, I literally cannot wait to see it. I'm super excited.
That one shot of like them like doing the video game thing, dude, that was so awesome.
And then Donkey Kong gets like the fire flower, and which is dope. Donkey Kong's never had like the fire.
Dude, that's dope. Like the Mario Kart scene is awesome.
It's gonna be fun.
I can't wait. Unfortunately, I'm still not a fan of Pratt's voice. I think they could have done better. I guess they wanted the name,
dude.
But let's see what happens. It's cool, like with Bowser now, you can tell it's Jack Black now. So it's pretty awesome because I love Jack Black when he's being Jack Black. So I love that they
did make sure to have like some more Bowser talking scenes. So like,
which is good. I hope he steals the movie, because Pratt isn't gonna be scene stealing anytime soon.
He was gonna get a little musical with it, so like I'm hoping like if his Bowser gets a song,
that'd be great.
Like just do it, cowards, just do it for us. Like I'm hyped.
Why not? It's a Nintendo game, man. It's for kids, man.
Yeah, my only thing is that it comes out like on a Wednesday,
dude.
I'm like, I'm gonna have to. I have to wait until
on a Tuesday night.
Yeah,
I saw some of that showings on Tuesday night, but then it comes out on Wednesday because it's that Easter weekend. That's why.
Yeah.
So like it's trying to take advantage of the kids being off from school early, and dude, it's gonna bank a lot of money just because of it. Like it's gonna have so much lead time into the weekend. But yeah, dude, like I have to find out when my kids are available and the wife is available so we can go watch it together because they'll kill me. They'll kill me if I go alone to see this thing. So I have to figure out.
Find out if you went to see Mario all by yourself.
Listen, don't tell anybody, all right? My kids aren't subscribed to the podcast, so I think we'll be all right. I'd be like, I was watching Creed again, all right?
then they hear you review the next week. And they're like, wait a minute.
Oh man, the betrayal. I won't hear the end of it.
Yeah, I can't imagine.
Anyways, folks, I'm very excited about Mario, but I'm very excited for our feature presentation, folks. And once again, we have a double feature for you guys.
Yes.
The first one coming up, let's get right to it, right? Because this is the Scream 6 real headline here, but let's get through 65 first, folks.
Yeah, we're a double feature, but we...
Yeah, exactly. But I just can't wait to talk about Scream. So let's talk about 65 first. This is the Adam Driver vehicle where 65 million years ago, this alien dude, Adam Driver, he's in like a voyage exploring through space to, I don't know what they were doing, but they get hit by an asteroid, land on Earth during, the prehistoric period. That's the story.
Yeah. And spoilers, that asteroid is actually the asteroid that destroyed the dinosaurs.
That's the one that's coming to fuck shit up. So yeah.
Yeah. So that's literally everything you need to know about 65, right? So, but non-spoiler review, definitely like It's a between a wait for it and stay away from it, honestly. Like
Yeah,
it's like
honestly, if this was a VOD vehicle, I'd be like, yeah, you can wait for it. You can watch
yeah,
anytime you want.
even then VOD, like
Even then, like I wouldn't even put it on. I have issues with this movie, a lot of issues with this movie. I didn't like Adam Driver in it. I thought his acting at first was very kind of blah, and then he got better as the action ramped up. So he is good in action stuff. That's been proven in the Star Wars stuff, and like he can do the action stuff.
Right.
I thought honestly he was a better actor, but he has some scenes with his his daughter when in the beginning of the movie where he was just
popping up in a lot of stuff.
Yes, she looks super familiar. I forget what her name is.
She played Joel's daughter in The Last of Us recently, but she's also been in a few other little things here.
No, that's not her. That's not because Joel's daughter in Last of Us is Thandie Newton's daughter.
Oh, right.
Yes.
So
which looks exactly like her. I'm like, that's Thandie Newton's daughter. I don't care what anybody says.
yeah. But this girl,
I've seen her before, legit in other like good things.
Yes. Okay, so we did. Okay, I confused the other one, but yeah.
But anyways,
yes,
yeah, she's been in some decent stuff, and honestly, like her little bit of acting in that portion of the movie was like the best acting in the movie, in my opinion.
It's weird that she's the best actress in the movie, right?
Yeah,
like it's overall like she's the best one.
Yeah.
And like it's tough because the movie's anchored by Adam Driver and this other girl who I've never seen in anything, and it's tough because it's hard to like get a gauge on this new character. Her name's Koa. I don't know the actress's name, unfortunately, sadly, but like she also she speaks like a future language, because it's like
dude, it's unnecessarily too, and like what is the point of actually like having her like not be able to communicate properly here? Like also like there really is no real breakthrough in terms of like actual communication between them. It's just these moments of him remembering how to be a human being and a father, pretty much that kind of endears him to her. But there is really no point in time in the movie where they're like actually like communicating back and forth about something. It's always him grunting at her. It's hey, we gotta go up the mountain,
Yeah, and he's like just quickly shutting her down. He's very like, and that's the thing too. So spoilers, I will, what, why not?
Spoilers
for 65, because like if you're gonna see it, please check it out, then come back and listen to this review. But if not, go ahead and sacrifice it in favor of Scream 6, right? So
yeah, just
if you have to see one, right?
Yeah,
like,
seriously.
So 65, spoilers, the meteor, the whole thing is they crash land on Earth during the time of dinosaurs, and they have to leave in 12 hours before the asteroid that killed the dinosaurs hits the Earth, right? So
yeah, that's a dope video game premise, by the way.
Yeah, no, that's the thing. Like on paper, right? Like you lay it out, and
on paper it's supposed to work, right?
Yes, you understand why the movie was made, right? Like I'm like, oh, this is like it's a book. Like if you would have showed me like a pulp science fiction book of like a future spaceman versus dinosaurs, I'd be like, okay,
dope.
yeah, why not, right? And you're right, it sounds exactly like a video game premise. He has a gun with like a little energy thing like video games, right? So it's like perfect, right? On paper, absolutely perfect. You throw Adam Driver in it, cool, sounds like a great idea, right? But then
on paper
and you get to it, and like the reason I set it up this way is that on paper making a character a dad is usually the way to go, right? We've talked about this before at length, right? Where it's like all these medias, your Pedro Pascal characters, where he's like a dad with a kid, right?
Yeah, but not everyone can be Pedro Pascal. That seems to be the problem here, right?
Thank you, Arturo. That is 100% it. Is like maybe Pedro Pascal has to be all the dads.
Like he gets it. Like there's just I don't know if Adam Driver actually has kids in real life. I don't really care. But like as an actor though, is a job you have to do.
Yeah.
Like I'm a father, right? Everyone knows that out there. So the way he's acting is very just not fatherly either. Like, it's very corny when he does try and be a father. Like at the beginning, he's like, "Oh, are you okay? Are you okay?" It's like, yo, she's fine, dude. All right, like relax. Like there are moments where he just loses all kind of humanity too, which is like, I don't understand what he was trying to go for.
And that's the thing too, Arturo, because like that's another idea on paper that would have sounded.
Yeah, it's like oh, he has to protect her. Of course, it works.
The way it's set up is that like you get the idea that like he was sent on this mission for 2 years, in order to like save his daughter, but then you find out that the mission he was on at the start of the movie was actually just some other random mission that happened, and his daughter already passed away like within like another 2 years or so. Point is, the swerve is like, oh, his daughter's already dead. So it's like, oh, yeah. So it's like, oh,
his daughter died while he was on voyage.
Yeah. So that's why when they crash in the beginning, there's a cool moment where he's like legit gonna unalive himself. And
I was like, yes, this is gonna end nice and early, baby.
Yeah. And so, but in my head, I was like, yo, you gotta get back to your daughter, right? So it's like, but then you find out she's dead already. Yeah. And like, then that unfolds on paper. Great idea. Right, because it's like, oh, this is why he's acting so negatively towards this new girl, because he's like, he's over it and all that stuff. But then, like, you're right, like drawing attention to the fact that they never quite connect. Yeah, we never get that moment of like downtime where they connect with one another. We never really get that moment where he's like, oh, I see her as my daughter.
Yeah, it's also showing a poor choice, audience, like
kind of thing.
Honestly, though, I think it's a poor choice in choosing like this alien foreign language. Like, there's no reason for it because the little girl's parents are already dead. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
why make this even more difficult on the actual in-screen character? He already crash land, dude. Like, all right, so this has to deal with like aliens and stuff like that and all that junk, right? So they're way advanced and all that stuff. This is why they crash landed on 65 million years ago here. It's because they come from a different location, right? So like, it's hard enough. He fucking landed on prehistoric Earth where he has to contend with freaking dinosaurs, right? Now you're adding to the point that, his daughter is dead, so he wants to kill himself. And then all of a sudden he hears a heartbeat in one of these freaking things. And like, why not just make that kid speak English? Why make it harder on the in-screen character? Like just writing the story, you're making it harder on yourself. Like it's hard enough to kind of go through the motions here when you're fighting off dinosaurs and a meteor trying to kill you. Like now you have to, try and explain the guy ends up lying to her, telling her, yeah, your parents are up on the mountain. This is where we have to go.
Yeah, which is like, it's real scumbag moves, right? And like, but it doesn't, it plays out like a scumbag move. It never once seems like a, and yeah, they start caring for one another towards the end. But by that point, dude, like I was so uninvested. And, for a 90-minute movie, it really felt like the 65 million years, dude. Right? Like, like, I don't know. And that's the thing. Usually when we talk about how long a movie feels, we have something to like offer to be like, oh, get rid of that scene, get rid of that. But I don't know either, because it's like, it's really just like a one straight line, they're like,
it really is. That's
the ship.
Yeah, it's a great point. It's a great point. Yeah, there's not much you can cut off because of the kind of movie that it is. It is, in terms like the story is short, just for some reason, like just the way they do things is a big draw. You know what I mean? It's like, a very big draw.
Yeah, and like what's tough is that like once again, on paper, this sounds like a dope idea, and like it looks good. The movie looks good.
Yeah, it does look good.
They're in like an actual forest. I don't know where they are, or like if they set up a studio to look like that, but like it doesn't look like and the CG dinosaurs are great. Like they look great. I loved how they looked. I love the final one we got.
I have to look into that dinosaur because that
which is like
looks
a big
more
lizard,
like
right?
Yeah, it looks like a Gila monster dinosaur or Komodo dragon like thing. I have to look into that. That's a real fucking dinosaur, man. Because I'm like, I've never seen a dinosaur move like that.
It looked cool as hell. I was
Yeah,
like,
it
yo,
did.
like,
Yeah.
and it was honestly worth the wait to get like the big one at the end,
Listen,
right?
Tex,
So it's like,
just to wrap this all up, all right? Because I want to talk about Scream.
Oh yeah.
They should just grab this concept, sprinkle in some Turok Dinosaur Hunter in there, and boom, put it on VOD, baby. I'm there again.
Honestly, yeah, maybe if it would have just been a spaceman versus dinosaurs, even more so, I guess, but then that's the see.
And then they actually make it off the planet and shit, dude. Like,
yeah,
they have the balls to make them live at the end. I'm like, are you serious?
And
after all this, the ship works, dude. The ship fell off a freaking cliff. And then it still
my thing was the fact that spoilers again that he lives at the end, like when he's sitting there breathing his last breaths on the chair,
spewing blood out.
Yeah, she like holds his hand. And he's like, okay, it's all good, but we don't have that emotional connection with them, right? So it's like when that happens, it's like, oh, it would have been poetic for him to like save her, but like die in the chair as they're flying away.
It's like, dude, you're not gonna adopt her when you get back there. You're just gonna be like, yo, take her, government. This one showed up over there and ruined my day. I wanted to off myself and make this thing a whole heck of a lot quicker.
Yeah, it was literally like he was planning to off himself until he found out someone survived.
Yeah. It's like, anyways, folks.
Yeah,
this one,
it's just
if it does pop up on a random Sunday on Sci-Fi Channel, and you're like, in the first 15 minutes of it, you just jump into it, just keep watching it. It's fine, but don't go seeking it out.
Yeah, watch it for the dinosaurs, and the few moments we do get of like dinosaurs versus guns. Those are fun
cool
moments.
Yeah.
But you're right. We should have got it. Like it should have been a Turok movie.
Driver is good with the action stuff. His military experience just makes him look cool with the gun and shit.
Yeah, but damn.
Yeah. What a big fail, right? Again, Turok Dinosaur Hunter. Let's make it happen, folks. If not, we will in CorpseFeed. So we'll do it.
So speaking of failures, Arturo.
Yes.
I think it's the perfect lead-in.
That is an awesome lead-in, and by one of the biggest fans I know. I'm glad you said it first and not I, because I've been getting fucking hammered out there over the weekend because of my take on it. So I personally gave it a 5 out of 10.
6. Yeah.
I'm not gonna get into spoilers just yet, but I gave it a 5 out of 10. As well disappointed in it as you are, Tex. I thought it was a waste of such a good ghost face, right? A waste of that awesome brutality that we got there for a bit, and a waste of the landscape. We get a couple of cool scenes, but honestly, this faux New York didn't really hit it for me.
Dude, it was
I'm disappointed in it, Tex.
It was real Jason Takes Manhattan kind of levels of like, it's such like a nonsense kind of thing. Like I'd
rather watch Jason Takes Manhattan though, man. At least that takes you on a little journey.
At least it takes you through Manhattan, right?
Dude, it takes you from the beginning camping thing to a dock onto a ship. You're traveling to the freaking island of New York. You're in New York. You're running around. Like, at least it tries to take advantage of the gritty, 80s New York. This really it failed on that mark, because what was the point of just moving them out if not to make it part of the gimmick? Anyways. Spoiler
free review along the lines Arturo was saying. I completely agree. Unfortunately, Scream 6 is a big failure. Like we've talked to the buddies at length about how big this franchise is to me. It's yours is Halloween, mine is Scream.
Mm-hmm.
Those are our gens that we grew up with and stuff. And my thing with that is, we forgave a lot with Scream 5. We ultimately, I did decide I did like it. I was on the side of liking it, but also I was like, okay, I'm overlooking quite a bit. Now I'm kind of regretting overlooking all that stuff, because those were little red flags that I was like, that we were so naive back then, Arturo. Those were little red flags that should have told us, hey, you guys are heading in a wrong direction here. And I hope, if buddies at home, it's unfortunately like if it wasn't a Scream, like if it wasn't Scream 6, which you've probably already seen already, you know, you buddies at home, you've likely seen it, you're planning to see it this week, whatever. It's honestly a stay away from it. It's honestly like if it wasn't a Scream and if it wasn't me going to see it because it's a Scream, honestly, you don't need to see this. It's literally the definition of spinning wheels. Like they're spinning the wheels in place. Nothing concrete happens. We'll get into the spoiler stuff of that, but it's just when by the end of this movie, I was like, what did we even do? And just like you were saying with the New York edition of it, we'll get into that very, very soon. But it's like, what did we do here? And ultimately, I've been thinking about it a lot, and because it's nothing, and because like nothing happens, regardless of how good kills are, all that stuff, like you said, good ghost face, cool weathered mask, which makes all this even more unfortunate.
Absolutely.
Is that it's the same thing with like the fact that we have to bring in Halloween Kills into this conversation about like, a cool slasher, you have a cool killer character, right? You have the coolest version of that character. I think this is probably the best ghost face we've had in a minute. Like
I agree.
In terms of ghost face.
Hands down.
Yeah.
I agree.
And it's a waste. Like it's all thrown out the window. Arturo.
Yeah, it really is thrown out the window. Hit that spoiler button real quick, Tex.
Yeah, let's. Okay, so full spoilers.
It is a big waste
to jump off.
It is a big waste. Specifically because of the way everything unfolds at the end, right? When you find out everything about the ghost face and who's behind it, it's like, really, this is what you guys decided to give us. Like after all this, like they brought in Kirby again. Right. Yeah. And Kirby was part of the FBI investigation.
So apparently Hayden Panettiere called the directors radio silence. That's what they're called. I forget their individual names, unfortunately. Sorry about that. But they're the ones who directed Ready or Not. They also directed Scream 5. Their duo name is Radio Silence, which is a dope name.
Cool. Dig it.
Shout outs to that. But apparently she called them to be in it. So that's why she's in it.
Dude,
which makes it even more egregious, right? So
like honestly, I think with her out of the picture, it would have been a more interesting take on that finale, right? Of that. It would have been very, very cool, man, if they did not fucking bring her back. You know what would have been cool too, Tex? If we had some fucking people dying, right? Like if we had some actual consequences here,
there's a lot of, and so I'll get into my spiel about that in particular, Arturo. Unfortunately, I was like,
tell him why you're mad, Tex. Tell him why you're mad.
Okay, I was like, I've got a lot to say. Unfortunately, you're gonna hear me talk a lot this episode, everybody. Unfortunately, but so we've talked about at length before about how horror movies, when a whole thing about slashers is that it's punishment, right? It's punishment for, karmic things. It's like Jason's mom was punishing kids for having sex and doing drugs, all that stuff.
Damn kids and them sex and drugs.
Yeah. And, Freddy, his whole thing was punishing kids for the parents, and it's like, and Scream, they literally spell it out in this movie that they want to punish Sam and Tara, the survivors from the last movie, punish them for what they did to Richie in this one. Yeah, big spoilers. The killers this time are related to Richie. So, but with all that said about punishment, there's no punishment. We get
zero,
nothing. So, like, the only characters who die are randos and characters who are in the friend group that we just meet. And it's literally, I think, when you boil that down to new kids in the friend group in New York, it's literally just one person who who gets killed, but also isn't one of the killers.
The girlfriend. What's her name? Mindy's girlfriend, right?
Yeah, it's like Anika or
Annika, right?
Yeah, there we go.
Yeah, that's yes. All right. So just real quick before you continue, just the first, we don't get a lot of kills in here. When we do, like Tex said, it's like random stuff that honestly in a horror movie, especially a slasher, it's just fodder, until the actual real core start dying.
It's literally fodder.
Yeah. So we get Sam Weaving, right? So, Samara Weaving's character who plays this teacher, you know, she gets killed by the fake ghost face in some weird looking quote unquote New York location, which I was like, this looks stupid. And then after that, we don't get a significant kill until pretty much never. Like, we get 2 kills in the bodega, right?
Yeah,
and then
the bodega, they're just rando dudes.
Like, and Gail's boyfriend, right?
Yeah, we don't even know the name of.
Yeah, Gail's new boy toy, pretty much, right?
Yeah, it's literally just like her boy toy.
And that's 3, right? That's 3 I'm counting, and then we get Annika, that's 4, right? If there's anything else in between, they probably don't even matter more than those characters I just mentioned.
Yeah, those are the only kills really we see outside
what we
of
think is another kill of the roommate is actually one of the killers, right? Because a text obviously says if we don't see a body, they're still alive.
It's unfortunate that like the mystery is so bad this time too. Is that like I didn't so. Okay, we have to break that down too, right? The reveal is that, you know, there are 3 ghost faces this time, you know, which okay, fine, right? I like that idea. Eventually make an army of ghost faces, right? I kind of want that at some point.
I have an issue though. I do have an issue with that.
Okay.
The fact that like the performance itself, right, of the stunt guy behind the mask is so solid, right? That you're like, yo, this is a beast under this mask. You know, this dude is like wild. And then you see the people behind it. Like, this is why Scream gets me really mad sometimes, because it's a rare occasion where you get the reveal and you're like, oh, I believe that. Like for instance, Stu and Billy, you believed it. Both dudes, was, big tall dudes, right? Like you believed it in part 2, at least for the son, right? Billy's mom's
I forget his name too, but Timothy Oliphant.
Yeah. So, you believe that for sure, right? Part 3, this is where you're like, not really. You know, part 4, even less. And I'm like, what? These are, yo, dude. I was just watching part 4 the other day too, and I'm like, I could have taken these guys out, dude. I could have taken them out, dude. Gail could have taken one of them out at the barn.
Because they're kids. They're little scrawny kids, right?
Yes.
And
you know, 5, but in 5,
4,
Richie, yes. The girl, Amanda, no.
Definitely not. Yeah.
In 6, I don't believe any one of them. Not even the father. I don't even believe him as being like the actual killer.
Every time I believed he was the like killer is, you know, when he's using the gun. I'm like, oh, okay, that's definitely, you know. And so so going back to the mystery, right? So they turned out to be the rest of Richie's family, who they blame Sam for, like, you know, one of the big fallouts from part 5 was that, you know, the conspiracy theories keep going, and because of that, everybody blames her for like his death and yada yada yada, et cetera, and the whole thing is, you know, when his daughter dies, you know, we don't see it on screen. It's just like we see her thrown body, and then he walks out like shortly afterwards when the cops are like investigating, and he says she's dead. So as soon as that happened, I was like, oh, it's the cop and his daughter. And which sucks, you know. I didn't call like the third kid being a part of it because, you know, I was like, you know, who cares?
Yeah.
But then it just like that's all part of the messiness of it, you know. And then you get their monologue, which is usually the best scene of any Scream movie. Even part 5 had like a good little monologue and fight scene.
It did. That kitchen scene was awesome.
Yeah. So it's like, but here it's probably the worst one.
Garbage, my friend.
You know, maybe part 3 is pretty close because it was only one ghost face and yada yada yada.
Annoying. But yeah, he was so annoying.
But so like the whole thing was that they were trying to punish Sam, and like they were leading to it by like getting the ghost face masks of
the other past killers.
Yeah, of like the 9 other past ghost faces, you know, which they also said one was like Billy Lewis's mom, which I think was like, that might have been too reaching.
Yeah.
I was like, that's a little far. And what's what ultimately sucks about that, Arturo, what ultimately sucks about all the worship for the other movies, right? The we literally get a shrine of like some of like the killers,
legit, like 9 mannequins all around a half circle in the middle. You have Billy Loomis encased in the glass, like in glass pretty much, with his knife and his whole getup, and it really is a shrine, legit.
Yeah, and like the worst part about that is that the opening scene tells us it's going to be like a whole, like, we're throwing out the meta, like it tells us we're throwing out the past, because in the beginning, Samara Weaving's character dies. It's important that she's a film professor. She's killed by her students who copy Richie and want to complete his movie, right?
Richie's movie, yeah.
But they're killed as the opening scene. Like, they're literally the opening scene, and the ghost face there says, man, fuck the other, like, who gives a fuck about movies?
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, cool. So you're straight up telling me, the audience, okay, who gives a fuck about those movies? We're doing our own thing with this one.
And it's hilarious because the guy behind that mask cares so much about those movies.
Thank you, Arturo. Thank you. And that is
so much about those movies. Like,
so much.
Like, it gets even like weird, man, when he's describing like Richie's love for the movies, and then because Richie loved them, they got into it, and blah 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 blah. And I'm like, you guys are just some film nerds, man. Like, this
really wish.
That's it. Like, you're just the kids from part 4, all kind of, a couple years later, pretty much. Like, there's nothing new here, dude. Like,
it's so whack, dude. Like, and the killer monologue is so whack because Dermot Mulroney. I always get mixed up with Dylan McDermott. Yeah, I always get it.
It's not Dylan McDermott, right? That's the guy from The Practice, right?
Yeah, it's Dermot Mulroney, and he's bad, dude. Like, he's trying to ham it up to be like
but even then, like, he's so bad that his performance as a cop was so suspect. I'm like, dude, like, you're not
immediately,
like, it's like, wait a minute. So you're telling me that the way this cop is acting is totally like all nice and nonchalant, knowing that the history behind this person he's talking to, Samantha, right? Like, there's a history here of violence and stuff like that. And he's just, oh, are you upset that I got your case? And blah, blah, blah. No, don't worry about it. Like, he plays it so like, I'm the good cop kind of thing. I'm going to do this good cop thing. And I'm like, that's super sus, bro. Speaking of super sus, Kirby comes into play, right? Like,
it sucks, Arturo. That would have been such a better idea. You and I have been complaining about Kirby this whole time, right? Because why do we need that character back? And there was a brief moment in the movie where they were trying to like pin it on her, like, oh, Kirby is the ghost face, because like she's the one setting him up for like, oh, she's in the FBI, but she doesn't work for them anymore because of mental stuff. So I was like, in my head, I'm like, are we going a fun route with this? Or did they bring Kirby back to make her the new Ghostface? And no, she gets shot in the face like 20 times and still like she's fine.
And she gets stabbed in the same place that she gets stabbed in part 4, right? And on top of that, like, we don't know if she's actually like in the FBI or not, right? Because like we just get that information from the fucking cop guy. Right. Yeah. So she probably is in the FBI, right?
Yeah. And it's such like
it's like, hey, Tex, like, you know what I did? I got mad and I became an FBI agent after I got stabbed in the gut.
Yeah. It was one of those moments that really felt like fan servicey. And in a Scream movie, that says a lot. These are the same movies that kept bringing back Sydney and Gale and oh my God.
By the way, Sydney.
Yeah. Right? So let Sydney have her happy ending is a line that gets said in this movie, and in my head I was like, "Fuck you!"
That's
like I have to drop F-bombs with this one. I apologize, everybody at home, but like, screw you, man. Like, pay Neve Campbell the money first of all, right? But then to write her off the franchise, this is literally writing her off. A quick line where Gail says, let her have her happy ending. She's hiding with Mark and the kids somewhere. Like,
it's like he went to like Australia or some shit like that.
Yeah,
with
like
the kids or something.
Yeah, and it's like, come on, like that's
lazy shit. Like, honestly, also, why even bring her up? Like, it's not about Sydney, obviously, right? It's about Tara and Sam, right?
And that was the clean break. You know, it's they bought themselves a way to disconnect from Gale too. You know, but Gale comes back.
She should have fucking died, Tex.
Okay, so she
should have died.
She's attacked by a ghost face, and she gets like super stabbed. And she has like a heroic like last word or whatever. Then they find a pulse. So they're bringing her back.
We have a faint pulse. We have to act quick. I'm like, no, she should be dead. God damn it! Like, no, because Tex, by that time, no one of significance has died, man. Like, this was supposed to be the first real, like, here we go. All right, we're taking them down. Like, fast forward to the final act, right?
Yeah,
Mindy gets stabbed in the subway, right?
Yes.
So
cool scene, by the way. So
the subway stuff was cool. Like, that was one of the cool things about the New York aspect that I guess they wanted to put in the movie, you know. But that was cool. I appreciated that, and the tension of the group being in the first train and Mindy and the other dude being in the second train. That was pretty cool, and that was well written, because you're like, okay, let's see what happens. And then I also, you know what? I don't understand how once they got off the train, they didn't wait for her. You know what I mean? Like, they just kept going.
Just kept going.
I'm like, wait a minute. Like,
what a terrible core four.
Yeah, you know, the core four, man. Yeah, so we get to the final act, and then you see Chad, right, in this awesome kill scene with both with two ghost faces just wailing at his chest, dude.
It sucks because it's a waste of a good reveal.
It's
a waste of like, there's the second ghost face, and we see them both like stabbing him at the same time, and I'm like, yeah, that's a cool way to do it.
And then they clean their freaking knife at the same time, dude. It looks so good on screen.
A great visual. In my head, I was kind of hoping we get the third one would pop out, like, if you know.
And just slit his throat too. He should have came behind him, slit his throat, cleaned it off, and then it was so cool because that was right after pretty much Chad and Tara had their first kiss or whatever, right? And you're like, woo, they're getting together, right? Everyone in the theater was like, finally, which was like, no, you're missing the point. These people should be dying right now, you know?
Yeah.
And then Chad, we think he's dead, and we're like, okay, here we go. We're paying the price here, folks. We're getting our receipts, all right? And then at the end, we've got one. What the frack, man?
My theater started laughing when it was, when they said, we have another one in there. My theater was laughing, and I'm like, yeah, that tells you that you messed up. Like, it tells you that you, like, okay, so Scream, right? The Scream franchise usually has a ton of survivors. That's usually how it works, right? Like, we've been programmed to note that there always will be, and until Scream 5, it was like the trio survives, right?
Correct.
But what is important to note is that they weren't the trio until after part 2, when Randy died.
Yep.
And so this was the moment to be like, core 4, and the way I forget his name in the movie, but Mason Gooding, who's Cuba Gooding Jr.'s son. Yes, there you go, Chad. He's awesome, right? I was like, he stood out so much in the movie. I was like, the core 4 thing. I'm like,
I have an issue with that.
It's like setting him up to be like the death, right?
Yeah, but I have an issue with that because his character completely flip-flopped then, because in the first one he wasn't this animated. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He became more of like this kind of white meat baby face, as they say, like in wrestling,
Yes, and so that's why I thought he was getting set up to, when he gets stabbed. The whole thing with Jenna Ortega's Tara, and it's like, this is setting him up to die, and like, but when he survives, it's like, okay, that's the thing. We've been programmed to know that there will always be a lot of survivors at the end of a Scream movie, but each of these movies make sure to kill people we care about. That's the thing, right?
Yeah.
And the fact that Kirby comes back to survive, Gale comes back to survive, the core 4 stays the core 4 at the end of the movie, and that's not even counting in like the fact that like Mindy runs up at the end of the movie. Yeah, she's been stabbed and she's fine. And like it's,
which was like, dude, what are you like? Shouldn't you be in a hospital bed right now?
Yeah, and like that's not even. This is all before including.
And then that boyfriend even lives, right? Sam's boyfriend even lives, which is like he wasn't even like fodder,
Yeah, Josh Segarra, who's been in a lot of good stuff. We saw him in She-Hulk. He was great there. I hope he shows up in stuff to be charming. He's just a
Yeah, but he should
charming
have died
dude,
in
right?
this one though.
But he should have died. That was another one, right? That's the thing. We should have seen somebody of note die, and the fact that like nobody of note dies, nobody even comes close to death.
And this was the fact that, like, perfect time too to kill off Gale and finally, do away with the core 3 that they had before from the original franchise.
Yes, you write off Sydney, say she's having her happy ending. Gale
Dewey
says
already
her final,
fucking got gutted in Scream 5.
And Gale has her final words of like, "Yo, don't tell Sydney he got me." And I'm like, okay, that's a cool way to go out, right?
And then she has a faint heartbeat. I'm like, oh, this bitch is still alive.
All they would have had to do after that is pay Nev Campbell her money, show her up, like bring her back for the one last time, kill her off, and there you go, right? Brand new franchise. But at this point, dude, I'm so mad. Like, I'm so heated. Like, I'm actively angry about the way this went. Clean slate.
Dude, we haven't even spoken about like freaking Sam still being the daughter of Billy Loomis and that whole story and how that all went. Like,
let's touch on that a little bit. The whole time, it's so unnecessarily complicated with her, right? Like, her whole thing is that they moved together to New York. And her sister Tara is like, "Yo, you're smothering me." And in my head, I'm like, I get it, but you also went through a thing.
Yeah, like you also got killed at least twice or 3 times. You know what I mean? Like, a year ago. So
yeah, so like and this movie's so bad. Even Jenna Ortega's bad in it. It's like it's rough characterization they have for their sisters.
I'm glad you said it, man.
Yeah, and the fact that it's so anchored on Melissa Barrera, like,
rough.
Yo,
that's rough, man.
Any other time, I would be like, "Yo, Latina's center of the Scream franchise."
But her just
celebrating, right?
Send her back to the TV screen, dude. Like,
geez,
dude,
it's movie, especially.
And like I was telling Tex off air, it's the kind of role where you would expect a dynamic performance, just something off the cuff. Even I would have taken an overly kind of dramatic kind of thing, being that you're the daughter of a serial killer. You want to take it all wild like that. Cool. We got no emotion from this one. Again, we said it in our talk of Scream 5 last year, how just her emotions were just like not there, and they should be there, being that hey, everything was revealed that you're Billy Loomis's daughter,
Yeah.
And then it comes to the parts where she's kind of, feeling, like her father's presence and stuff. And I'm like, oh, man.
Like, she full on dresses like Ghostface towards the end, which is like,
that's right.
In a better made movie, that would have been a fun gimmick, of like, oh, she became a complete ghost.
But also the story was right there too, like if you wanted to do something, you could have had her in New York still, right? Like,
yes,
let's say Tara's, people Tara knows, like, starts getting killed off, and it's just these jerks that start getting killed off, dudes that, we're trying to get a little too handsy with Tara.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Yeah. Like, that guy at the party, right? He should have been fodder, right?
Yeah,
he didn't even die.
To. Yes, and like, thank you. It's such like a dude. When you keep thinking about this movie and you keep thinking about the waste that New York was, like, moving to New York was like for nothing, and it sucks too, because you see all the reviews, you see it become like the biggest movie in the franchise, right, in terms of box office. And like, I've seen some of the defenses of like, oh, once you figure out that it's Scream 2, it becomes much better. No, because Scream 2 actually like had consequences.
I heard that a lot, Tex, and I wanted to get your thoughts on that. Why do they compare it to that one? If it's why? Because it's a parent.
No. Yes. One thing, it's the parent of like the previous killer. Another thing is that it's the college one. They spell it out in the movie too. Like, it's like they go to college. It's outside of Woodsboro mostly. Like,
but even then though, like, both movies feel very different.
Yes.
Like, very different, because as we say here, like the story primarily focuses on these sisters, right? Where in part 2, we get the story of Sydney still and how she's doing in college now that she's away from, Woodsboro. How is she doing? How is she holding up? You know what I mean? Like over here in this one, we're supposed to get this more of a dynamic kind of back and forth relationship with these two. And what we really get is just a very stale, a very cookie cutter kind of story between two siblings. The whole, oh, you're smothering me thing. Let me go. Like, it's like, ugh. Dude,
yeah,
like,
it's
man,
so, and
like,
it sucks because it's not until the end.
And then there's people out there that are saying like, oh, this is one of the greatest ever. And I'm like, one thing that like we have to kind of set aside, folks, is story and kills, right?
Yeah,
like especially
1000%.
Us horror fans and and us fans of these slasher movies, we have to differentiate between what's good here, right?
Yeah,
the story was no good here, right? The kills were pretty good. The Ghostface we got was pretty awesome, but that doesn't mean the movie was good.
Yeah,
like the story was still garbage, folks.
Yes,
get it together. Just because you're blinded by this blood doesn't mean the story's good. That's why they threw the blood in there to distract you from the shitty story.
Yeah, good kills do not equal a good movie. Like straight up. Like, and
man, it's frustrating to deal with this text.
And the kills are especially brutal here, which is why it's so disappointing, because you get like a cool nose stab. I think that dude who's been in like a bunch of Robert Rodriguez's stuff, right? The blue-eyed dude, I forget his name, but the therapist guy.
He gets stabbed like right in the eye, right?
Yeah,
right in the orbital socket, which is awesome.
And then the one of the killers dies because Jenna Ortega stabs him through the mouth, which is dope because it lingers on it. It's a cool this is a killer kill. This is how to take him out, right?
Yes.
But it's just and then and Anika, she gets a cool kill when she falls off and hits the dumpster and bashes her face in and stuff like that. So
but even before that, she got fucking stabbed.
Oh yeah, she got
real good,
stabbed.
man.
Man, that's another one. They lingered on it, so I get it, right? I understand why some people could be blinded by the kills, but don't.
But text again. Who died?
Yeah, but ultimately, who mattered? Nobody.
And on top of that, what was also really cool was how we got that that scene in the bodega where he grabs the shotgun and then he's he's going at the other guys and everybody with the shotgun. He's like, "Fuck this knife! I got a shotgun now," and that was different. You even saw it in the eyes of the sisters.
We never get that again.
Right?
We never get that again. We never.
Sam and Tara are looking at this killer holy shit, this is different. This is not the Ghostface we know, who's coming at you at close point with the knife. This guy is coming out with a freaking half-sawed-off shotgun. You know what I mean?
It was very Michael Myers of him, which was dope, right? Of just good. Using anything in
just using everything, especially Myers. He loves grabbing people's guns and just using that against them.
Yeah, but that was it. That's why the bodega scene was so cool, but yet so disappointing, because that was the only time we saw Ghostface go that route of
dude, and he wails on that guy who's like, "Hey, come on, buddy, there's a line over here," and then he gets cha 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 cha. He goes, "Oh," I was like, "Here we go, Tex. Here we go," and then after that, shoo.
Yeah, it sucks because it's so early on in the movie too. It's just and by the final moments, I honestly left the theater going, I never need to see another Scream movie again. Until Scream 7 comes out, and of course we'll be talking about it. I'll go see it. Duh. It's I'm never gonna learn my lesson here, but everything I think what they should do is straight up just clean slate. At this point, they're bogged down by the history. Mm-hmm. If you're gonna worship the history so much, incorporate it better. Because it's not only is that messy in here, but then you have this new stuff that you're trying to do, which doesn't completely connect either. And it's a mess, dude. It's just a big disappointment. It's a big, honestly, if you haven't seen it yet, or that's what sucks. I want to say stay away from it, but it's a franchise movie. And people
you can say stay away from it. I'd say just wait for it. People
yeah.
are gonna watch it anyway.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
It's the franchise. Yeah.
Like it's like I was telling you, off the air, like horror fans have their deities, right? Like Ghostface is one of their gods,
and Ghostface is cool,
I agree, and they just can't accept anything that goes against it being like, oh, this is the highest thing we got right here. It's like, hey, man, like Scream 96 is the gold standard, of modern day horror, of modern day slashers, because of Craven and what he did at that point in time in the mid 90s, reset the entire.
He was so ahead of the game, too.
Dude, he reset the entire culture, bro, with Scream 96, because horror was just in such a trash place in the 90s that Scream legit re-energized the entire thing. After 96, we got all the Saw stuff, we got a bunch of the Blumhouse stuff, we got Lionsgate, just releasing a couple of cool stuff like 13 Ghosts and all that stuff.
If you watch it again, it's such like a brutal movie too.
It's so good. It's good. All right. And the problem here is that nothing in this franchise is ever going to be as good as that one. All right, folks. Yeah. So everyone is always going to be like, they're always going to say this is like Scream is awesome, but what you're thinking about is Scream 96. Like
very, very true.
You're thinking about that iconic Ghostface design that was brought into the world, right? And that it holds us a place in everyone's heart. It holds a place in your heart, Tex. I know that for a fact. And I get it, folks. I get it. But again, we have to detach ourselves from these iconic characters and just be like, hey, was the story good? No. It's the same thing we said about Michael Myers, right? In Halloween Kills and Halloween Ends, right? Like, is the story good? Absolutely not. And that sours whatever cool kills came out of that thing. And we had some cool shit going on there in terms of violence. And that was all like, okay, that's good, but your story sucks. It's the same thing with Scream 6. This movie sucks. Okay. And that's my final stamp on that one, Tex. You got any final words on Scream 6 before we get out of here, man?
I think you said it all. It just sucks. It's just a big disappointment. I'm sorry for the buddies at home who are hoping to hear like positive words from us. And we would not lie to you, honestly. Like if we walked out of there going, worshiping kills, then you probably have to rethink this whole cast. Like if we walked out of there giving this a positive review, you would have to rethink all the other opinions we've given you because you couldn't trust them. Yeah, and that's the thing. It's that disappointing of a movie. It's just it's broken my heart. Like it's so bad. I'm rethinking my take on Scream 5. Like the more I think about Scream 6, the worse Scream 5 is. So bring on Scream 7. Here I go.
It's gonna come. It's gonna come probably next year because of the money alone. This one made. Oh, let's make another one. Let's figure out how to make Sam the killer this time.
Yeah, let's send Ghostface to to Paris or to what's another horror movie city.
Let's send them to space.
Yeah,
Ghostface in space.
Ghost space. Yeah, man, I dig it.
And then we'll have Space Ghost show up too, right?
Yeah.
Anyways, folks, this has been the Morgue, an official CorpseFeed podcast, episode 144. We have 143 of these things for you guys in the archives. Go check them out, along with Scary World and The Crypt. We are everywhere you can catch a podcast. Apple, Spotify, Amazon, iHeartRadio, all that good stuff. Go check us out. Go check us out on YouTube as well every Thursday at 4:20. You can see this episode drop, and you can catch the rest of our episodes there as well. Big shout out goes to Del Virus for the artwork. A big shout out goes to you guys for listening. Remember, folks, the scary world out there, but we are here to walk you through it.